If I could see your room right now, I'd probably see a guitar in the corner, a half-finished website on your laptop, some fitness equipment you used for 2 weeks, and an idea you were sure would change your life, until it didn't. And the scary part? You secretly think something is wrong with you. If your life feels like a graveyard of half-finished projects, you don't feel lazy. You feel ashamed. Society has a word for people like you, dilettanti. They say you're chaotic, unfocused, that you lack discipline. So you start asking yourself, why can't I just pick one thing and stick to it? You repeat the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, as if it's proof that you're failing. But you were never told the full quote. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but often better than a master of one. And that changes everything. The big reframe. Psychology suggests the scattered feeling isn't a defect. It's a signal. You aren't failing to specialize. You're unconsciously building a rare cognitive structure called the M-shaped mind. While the world keeps screaming, focus, 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 your brain is preparing you for a future where extreme specialization is actually dangerous. Before I explain why your chaos might be your biggest advantage, comment below where you're watching from. And if you enjoy deep psychology like this, you'll love the newsletter linked in the description. The lie we were sold. For most of the last century, the world rewarded specialists. It was a kind environment. Like golf. The rules never changed. Practice one swing for 10,000 hours, and you win. That's why being the expert worked. But your brain knows something important. You don't live in a kind environment anymore. You live in a wicked environment. Wicked world explanation. In a wicked environment, the rules change constantly. Industries die overnight. Skills expire faster than ever. And in this world, the specialist is fragile. If the market shifts, they don't adapt. They panic. That's why you drift. 1 year you're obsessed with electrical wiring or HVAC systems. The next year it's yoga, heavy lifting, content creation, or DJing music. To outsiders, this looks like chaos. But what you're actually doing is something very intelligent. Far transfer, the secret advantage. Psychology calls it far transfer. Specialists rely on near transfer. They solve the same problems using the same tools. You don't. You borrow ideas from one field and apply them to something completely unrelated. Imagine a web developer who used to be a farmer and a beekeeper. On paper, that sounds useless. But farming teaches systems, patience, growth cycles, and resilience. So that developer isn't just writing code. They're building living ecosystems. That's innovation. That's why you feel like an imposter. Because you don't see your own advantage. Your value isn't in being the best at one thing. It's in connecting things others can't. The burnout problem. Now here's the painful part. You look at people your age becoming senior engineers, managers, or executives. And you feel behind. Like you're still at the starting line. That feeling comes from misunderstanding the geometry of your own mind. You're not T-shaped. You're M-shaped. M-shaped mind explained. An M-shaped mind has multiple pillars of depth, connected by curiosity. But here's the trap that burns people like you out. Crossmark, you try to build all pillars at the same time. Learning data science, writing a book, starting a business, all in 1 month. That's not ambition. That's self-destruction. The people who actually succeed do something different. Serial mastery, the solution. They practice serial mastery. They live life in seasons. Your 20s might belong to art and creativity. Your 30s might pivot into programming or business. You didn't quit art. You finished that season. Real life story? I once read about a 53-year-old who finally understood this. He stopped trying to choose between programming and art. Programming paid the bills. Music, philosophy, and game design lived on nights and weekends. He turned down promotions. Capped his workweek at 30 hours. He protected his psychic energy. Years later, all his skills merged into personal game projects that only he could create. That's the M-shaped mind in action. Redundancy, evolutionary advantage. There's one final reason you're more resilient than you think. In biology, it's called redundancy. Elephants rarely get cancer because they have multiple copies of cancer-fighting genes. If one fails, another takes over. Your many skills work the same way. If you're only one thing, and that thing disappears, you collapse. But if you have multiple skills, you pivot. You survive. So stop apologizing for your graveyard of hobbies. Those weren't failures. They were semesters. In a university you built for yourself. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds others can't even see. If this finally made things click for you, drop a red heart in the comments. And if you want the deep dive research on how to structure your seasons, subscribe, and check out the newsletter community in the description.